But who better than me? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the casual stream with your boy, Base the Kid. Apologies for slight delay. Had to eat some food, had to get some sustenance, finish dealing with Papa, all that good stuff. But we are here. I got a few things I want to kind of talk about. Primarily, one of them, look, it's the biggest talk in boxing over the last few days. Obviously, Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, but in particular, I want to talk about the judges and the scorecards. Now, I've got a bit of a controversial take here, and in no way, shape, or form is there an argument that Canelo won the fight. However, actually, let me see if I can find it. Give me a second. Where is that? Do I have any of my backgrounds here? Okay, bear with me 1 second, peeps. Okay, so I don't have them next to me. But what I wanted to really speak about with regards to these scorecards, yeah? Wait, is that light gone off? Hold on. There we go, that's better. Yeah, so obviously there's no way that we say that Canelo got 5 rounds, yeah? 2 of the judges' scorecards had it 115, 113. Interestingly enough, though, both myself and Ring IQ, shout out to Julius, I know he's not watching, but if someone does see him on the old X, tell him that I just gave him a hail up, whether he cares or not. But we both scored the fight 10-2 to Terence Crawford. But we both gave Canelo Alvarez 2 totally different rounds. Now, he gave Canelo rounds 1 and 2. And I think I gave him rounds 4 and 5. All 3 judges gave him round 8. And I think 2 gave him 5. I don't know, 1 gave him 1, 1 gave him 2. So when you kind of look at it like that, even though everyone unanimously says that Crawford won 7 rounds standardly, like I think that there's probably 7 rounds you can kind of agree with wholeheartedly. If I've given Canelo 2 rounds and then Ring IQ's given him 2 rounds, the judges have all decided unanimously he gets this round. And I've seen other people say that they contentiously gave the 8th, possibly the 10th. It's not outside the realm of possibility that then we end up getting a scorecard that's 115, 113. As much as it doesn't feel right because of how dominant Terence Crawford was in the fight and controlled the entire story of the fight and the arc and all of that good stuff. But yeah, when you look at it, just in the cold hard facts, if I've given 2 rounds and then someone else has given 2 totally different rounds, it can't be outside the realm of possibility that maybe he won all of those rounds. Again, it's not revisionist history. It's not trying to make anyone feel better or anything like that, because the right person won. The only person who could have won the fight won. But it was just a case of, I kind of wanted to give my take on that. It wasn't really worth me necessarily doing a video about it. But, when people are complaining about, the scorecards were awful, if you just think about it from your own perspective, yeah, you're like, he won 10 rounds clean. But if everyone is given the different rounds to Canelo, the ones that they think he either edged or they would have gone in his favor, then yeah, like I said, it's not outside the realm of possibility that we end up seeing a scorecard with 115, 113, or in the correct case 113, 115 to Terence Crawford. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there, let you guys in the chat see what you think about it. Let me hail up whoever was here first. I'm pretty sure when I click on these comments, I'm gonna see Philip's name right at the top. Yep, here we go. Shout out to Mr. Answer. Big ups to you. Untraceable as well in the building. Big ups. Um, Man like Mulla Mulla in the building as well. Salute to you. Salute to you, King. Hope you're well. What's it Untraceable said here? Scorecards was disgusting. Again, I hear it, but that score was ridiculous. Even Lennox Lewis didn't respect the scorecards. Yeah, I mean, I hear it. Of course, they're gonna find a way to give rounds to Canelo. Don't understand how it could be more than that. I gave him rounds 1 and 7. Okay, so now there we go. Thank you. Philip's just proved my point. So Philip gave him round 1, same as Ring IQ gave him round 1. I didn't give him that round, and he gave him round 7, who no one, I believe, gave him round 7. Possibly one of the judges might have, but they all unanimously gave him round 8. So if I've given him rounds 4 and 5, Philip's given him 1 and 7, Ring IQ's given him 1 and 2, and all the judges have given him round 8. And most people saying round 5 was a contentious swing round, so maybe you give it either way, and the same with possibly round 10. I mean, it would have been nasty work to see a draw on the scorecards, but if we can't all unanimously agree on what rounds Canelo got, that's my point. So Philip literally just proved it for me, because you gave him a round that I didn't even speak about. I want to say it felt like some dodge UFC format. Shout out to Yasmin in the building. Salute to you, Queen. Big up, base. Thank you for watch alongs on the weekend. Oh, you're more than welcome. If I if I was home with enough time on the Sunday, I would have done the Inoue one. I would have just tried to stream it on my phone and then just hooked up the computer. But I remember I got the dog, ended up taking him out. No, I actually I got the dog. I actually went to sleep. He was tired, so I took him, made him go to bed. I went and had a nap. When I woke up to go take him out, is only when I remembered that, I knew it, that I need to go watch the fight. So I went back and watched it. Luckily, I didn't go on to any, wasn't on YouTube, I wasn't on Twitter X, I wasn't on Instagram or anything like that where I could see the result. So I managed to watch it fresh, even though it was after the fact, which was fortunate. Hence why Weekend Wrap ended up being the following day, rather than trying to cram it into Sunday night after doing Fight Talk Live. I had 3 at a stretch. I hear it. Like, to me, the absolute maximum you could give him is 4 rounds. But as I've just said, we've literally looked, and there's been 6 different rounds that people have given on the stream, this stream alone, just talking about it. So while it was, as far as I'm concerned, it was 10-2, but 2 people got 10-2s, but with totally different rounds to Canelo. So I don't understand what Dana White did for the promotion. I'll be honest with you, Yas, neither do I. Outside of just having the name, there was no real need for him to be there. He didn't do anything of note, to be totally honest. I mean, the most he did was probably just take the press conference and end up getting ambushed. But it is what it is. Oh, speaking of, you know what? Right, so I still haven't managed to watch all the fights yet. I've been out all today. I had some important meetings and I've got other important meetings tomorrow, just of a different nature. But I did manage to. I went onto the broadcast for the Netflix to see how it started, because I still haven't seen from the Mbile fight. So I go on there, only to find out that the Muhammad Alakel fight was the first fight on the main broadcast. Now, totally couldn't remember that that fight was supposed to be there. And for some mad reason, Alakel's fighting a 10 rounder. When I swear in just his last fight, he was still doing 6 rounders or something like that. But more so than that, like, I know Eddie Hearn used to have this thing where he would try to do like a quote unquote main event for the prelims. So you put one of the good fights on the prelim card right at the end to entice people to come to watch the show or whatnot. But I'm sorry, there's absolutely no way that Muhammad Alakel and whoever he was fighting, because I haven't seen the fight, I can't really comment on it. I still don't even know the result. But there's no way that he could be on there when you've got Brandon Adams and Saeed Boachuk on the prelims. Really and truly, if we was gonna have that card, that 4 fight card, the way it was, especially considering the fact that they took 2 rounds off of Lester Martinez and Christian Mbili, that was supposed to be a 12 rounder. That was supposed to be like an eliminator for one of the titles. But they took 10 rounds off. They took 2 rounds off of that, I think, to add 2 rounds to this other fight card, or to add 4 rounds to that to make sure it didn't run long or something dumb like that, apparently. But that card should have been um, Callum Walsh and Fernando Vargas starting the card, and Belay and Martinez next, because obviously Martinez and Crawford have got the same trainer, so you can't have Bomac not get a chance to work with his fighter. Okay, then you have Boachuk and Brandon Adams as the chief support. Then you go into the main event. You can't tell me that wouldn't have flowed a lot better. And I saw a lot of people was complaining about the Alakel fight. Now I don't blame them. The only saving grace you can have is the fact that you didn't have to pay-per-view for the. If you have Netflix, it was free to you. That's the only kind of saving grace to it. But outside of that, he should not have been on that main card. And this is no disrespect to Muhammad Alakel, but he's not at that level yet. Clearly, they're trying to get him a bit of a profile, but he doesn't need big profile, high profile fights yet, or being on those big platforms. He's still trying to learn the craft. Like, give him another year and a half before he's in that kind of position. That's my opinion. Obviously, you guys can let me know what you think in the chat in a moment. Man like Beauty of the Pencil, shout out to you. Bless up and thank you very much for being here as always. Okay, so you gave Canelo rounds 2 and round 8. So yeah, so all the judges gave him round 8. So again, just there, that's 5 rounds. Like I said, IQ gave him 1 and 2. I gave him 4 and 5. You gave him 8, 2 and 8. So that's 5 rounds that we can, contentiously say that maybe he did win, or at least it's not then outside the realm of possibility that you can get a 115 one or 113, 115 card. I forget what the other rounds I gave him. Okay, so there was possibly another one in there. So maybe round 1, 4, or 5 potentially. Yes, as Beauty of the Pencil says, hit the like button. Appreciate it. I haven't watched the fight again, but I gave Canelo 4 rounds and then to Bud's 8. So yeah, I mean, look, to be honest, any score for me between 110, 118 to 112, 116, I was fine with. And then initially, like I said, 113, 115, I was looking at like, that ain't happened. But on reflection, and obviously, like I said, you see all these other people's scorecards, you see them around the ring, different positions, different people giving different rounds for different reasons. So where people saying, "Oh, it's like corrupt," and they're just trying to find a way for Canelo to win. On this particular occasion, I'm like having to debunk that just from that particular from the examples that I've given. Okay, yeah, on the night. Don't worry, we got you. Man like Star Fox in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate it. Thoughts on the 41 million viewers doing less than Jake Paul's fight? It's expected. I mean, Jake Paul's a social media influencer, and Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson. So, Canelo, I mean, look, Canelo's a massive star in the world of boxing, I guess Mexican Americans and Mexicans or whatnot, but like he doesn't have a profile to the level of Mike Tyson globally. Mike Tyson is known in every single country around the world. I don't know if you could say that about Canelo Alvarez. And Jake Paul is very well known within the entire Western world as well. So it's not a surprise to me. That was a and that was a circus fight. There was more intrigue in it for people that don't even watch boxing, as to that one. Whereas this is obviously only the real boxing heads and I guess the casuals who are boxing heads that just don't follow everything were interested in this, whereas everyone was interested in seeing Mike Tyson back in the ring just for the sheer intrigue of it. Shout out to man like Tony, pugilist boy in the buildings. Hope you got back safe. Wait, are you even back yet? I don't know. I know you like to do your extended trips and then just disappear. But yeah, I hope you are back safe. And I hope you're no longer on concussion protocol. But we still need to get in the gym unless you've been told that that's no longer an option at your age. Man like James, salute. Evening to you. Um, a lot of boxing talk, but notice no one talking about a new A fight. Oh, I mean, you know what? I think part of the reason why a lot of people ain't talking about it is because a lot of people didn't get a chance to see it. Let's be honest. Yes, it was available, but it was on Facebook. Some people ain't even got Facebook accounts anymore. It's a, it's not it wasn't the easiest one to get to, and ultimately, I've seen some people talk about it, but because it wasn't eventful, and it wasn't a new way stepping into like new territory. It was just him like facing another mandatory. So I can kind of see why people ain't really spoke about it as much. But I spoke about it in the weekend wrap. I'll definitely speak about it a little bit later on in this one. Um, but no, I do get it, and obviously, but again, it's just because that's the Eastern world, and for whatever reason, the Western world doesn't really like to acknowledge the Eastern world that much. The viewership numbers for this was pure fight fans. Yeah, 100%. Okay, Tony is safely back in the UK. That's good. It's good to hear. So 39 million of those buyers were Mexican too. Oh no, remember it's no buyers. It's just on Netflix, isn't it? So just the viewership overall. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mexican Americans made up the vast majority of the viewership. Uh, but actually, no, it wouldn't even be Mexican because they've got all of Canelo's fights are broadcast on um there's a I can't remember the name of the terrestrial channel, but they got a terrestrial channel in Mexico, and there's a deal that Canelo put in place that all of his fights will be aired live for free in Mexico. So they wouldn't their views wouldn't even count towards the numbers that Netflix had because it wasn't on Netflix in Mexico. It was on terrestrial TV. Um, I've seen some great moments in boxing live, but this is up there as possibly the best. Well, it might be the best in terms of the amount of people you got to take photos with. I saw quite a few of the ones that you put up. I know you was in your element, boy. Uh, but no, I'm happy for you, man. Don't get me wrong. I would have loved to have been out there, but I know that's your thing to go to those events. So I'm glad that you were that you it was value for money. You didn't feel cheated or robbed. Um, Actually, while you're there, Tony, and I might even send you a link later if you want to jump on. But just let us know in the chat. How did the pacing of the night go, and were you happy with like the order and how the fights played out? Were there any fights that you thought didn't need to be there, or that you weren't happy that they were where they were, or that they was even on the broadcast to begin with? Now, let us know. The Inoue fight was lackluster at its peak. There was 213,000 viewers. Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's kind of what happens when it's just on Facebook on a random Facebook page, no less. Tony Dancer, yeah, then Dance Abroad. uh, I was watching it on free stream on YouTube. Oh, what did someone stream it from their Facebook to a YouTube platform, Philip? That's interesting. Um, I haven't watched the Inoue fight. Yeah, it's still on Facebook. If you've got a Facebook account, go on Facebook. Just search Top Rank Boxing. It comes up on their page. I think it's at the top of the page. You'll see Inoue and Akhmadaliev's face. Just click on that, and then it'll get you to the stream because you can actually watch the entire event. I just haven't had a chance to watch the undercard fights yet, but I will probably tonight or tomorrow before I go to the press conference for Eubank Ben 2. Although it's annoying, I've got a meeting at work and it was supposed to be in the morning at 10 o'clock. And I got an email saying, oh, they have to change the meeting time to 4. So now, for the meeting to be at 4, and I'm supposed to be at the, I think um, they're opening the accreditations and stuff, I think at 4:35. So it's like I'm gonna have to rush after this meeting and hope I make it before the end of the closures because they're saying if you ain't there by 5:30, they're closing the doors. Accreditation or not, you're not getting in. So that means that there must be something pretty big going on for them to be closing, like not allowing people to rock up after 5:30. So to even get there now is going to be touch and go. Hopefully the meeting don't last longer than like 10 minutes, but if it does, boy, and I can't even leave and like go up there and wait and do the meeting like remotely from up there because I got to take care of the dog until such a time as I'm leaving, when I can get someone to come maybe to the house and watch him for me for a few hours while I go and come back. So yeah, work messed me up. Not the first time over the last week, but that's a whole nother story. um, the arena seemed about 80% Mexicans. Okay, that makes sense. Is it Telemundo? It might have been. That might have been the channel they had it streaming at. Jam down in the building. Salute to you. Big up, big up. Oh, Dan the man, the hardest working guy on Twitter. Man like SC15 in the building. Salute to you, Dan. Great point. I arrived at 2:30 and can honestly say there were few extended breaks. Okay. Where and when is the press? Right. So the press is at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tomorrow. At It starts at 6. Entry Last entries are 5:30, and but the entries start I think at 4. I think it's 4:35. Um, yeah, if you're available, come down. You should be able to use my accreditation, or I should be able to get you in on my accreditation if you. Um, that shouldn't really be a problem. Tony might be the original passport, bro. uh, Shout out to man like Alexander Wilson. The UFC overran in America. A lot of ads for the Crawford Canelo. Oh, the UFC over in America ran a lot of ads for Crawford. I mean, to be fair, it makes sense because obviously the TKO thing. WWE was promoting that thing hard for the last 2 months. I've been seeing WWE like almost every show, like Raw, SmackDown, the premium live events. They've all been promoting the fight. So I'm not surprised that the viewership was quite good. Whilst we're here, I can't see the O2 selling out for Wardley versus Parker with the price. You know, I haven't even checked the tickets. What are they? Have they done a Mazza? Are they trying to extort people? Yeah, that's crazy. Can't you get the dog accreditation too? He might do a better job than this new breed of YouTube boxing media. I mean, you know what? He's easily distracted, so he might be doing the interview, then run off because he smells something interesting. So, you know, can't get the staff these days. Um, try try and get Ben Shalom at the presser, see if he answers any questions. What's this about him suing some execs at Sky? I heard about that, but I don't even know if Ben Shalom will be there. Actually, let me check to see if it tells me who's going to be in attendance. 1 second, I'm going to give y'all guys the exclusive. Um, right, let's see. Oh, well, Boxer, they've put out the press conference date confirmed. Da-da-da. Brought to you by the Ring Seller Matchroom Boxing on Boxer. Screen head to head. Right, it doesn't say who's in attendance apart from Chris and Connor. But yeah, maybe Ben Shalom will be there. If he is, I'll see if I can talk to him. But I know Ben. He doesn't like to talk without preparation. So, and he knows that I'll ask him questions he don't like. Like October Red does it, but they've got a bit of a better rapport and a relationship that lasts a bit longer. And she maybe frames them in a way that I won't. Um, Although actually no, I think he might answer my questions because I think he likes the fact that I do give him praise where it's due as well as obviously the criticism, and I just ask the questions with no real agenda behind them for the most part. But it's still certain times there's questions he don't want to answer. So happy to come on if you want to send me a link. We'll see how things go in a little bit, Tony. Appreciate it. But yeah, you can give me a lowdown on sort of how everything was. The cheapest I saw was £70 in the top tier to the side. Ugh. I think the exec from Boxer is. Oh, that's the person that's doing the suing. Okay. I think I can hear the dog barking. Yo, give me a moment. Let me just check to see if that's my dog or a different one. Hold on. Okay, yeah, no, it wasn't him. Cool. So he must be either asleep or he's content right now. That's good. Where was we at? Okay, so look, yeah. Speaking of, let's go to the Inoue fight real quick because again, that fight didn't really get much love, but to be like the fight played out how I thought it would, except I did think that Inoue would get hurt in the fight. Um, I thought he'd get hurt late and then maybe like have to sort of come through another little crisis moment, get his own licks in as well, like hurt Akhmadaliev, but get hurt, possibly get rocked and dropped. But where Akhmadaliev, like he'd start slow, maybe find something late which causes some damage, but Inoue is able to see it out and then ultimately wins the fight on activity. And then Akhmadaliev is all like, what if I had started sooner? What if I wasn't so laborious? What if I was only trying for one shot? Now, he did actually throw a shot that did rock Inoue right in the last round, but he just wasn't able to capitalize on it because Inoue was just twice as fast as him. But pretty much round after round, apart from the odd shot to the body here and there, like Inoue, like Akhmadaliev barely landed anything. And there was times that Inoue was just boxing and moving, not allowing himself to set to make sure that Akhmadaliev couldn't get to him. There was other times where he was actually holding his feet and just using his speed to out throw and outland Akhmadaliev. But I don't think he was ever in the fight particularly looking like he wanted to get a knockout, like he was trying to sit on his punches and really hurt him. I think he was definitely wary of the power coming back, so he boxed. He basically did what Crawford did. Like he boxed a lot from the outside, got in and out, um, stood his ground when he had to, but ultimately just made himself a difficult target that Akhmadaliev couldn't get to. Um, if Eddie ain't gonna be there, then Ben shouldn't either. The fighters are pretty much the ones we want to hear speak. Never mind the promoters and trainers. Yeah, I hear it, but I guess it all adds to the sauce. Get Tony on impromptu the breakdown style. I hear it. Let me put a link in the chat because I'm happy for Tony and actually if anyone else anyone who wants to come on can come on. The one thing I will say though, I don't know if the platform works well on mobiles, so because it didn't used to work well on mine. It's not StreamYard, so. Jam down. Eddie is a top tier punk, you know. He talked pure smack about Inoue ducking just to have Inoue thump up MJ like he was a heavily used heavy bag. Yeah, but look, let's be real. Eddie was just trying to hype his fighter and get the fight. Like ultimately, he did his job. He probably knew that was the case. But the one thing that Akhmadaliev showed basically that Inoue isn't just a wrecking machine. That he has to, he had to be respectful of Akhmadaliev. It was still, even though he bossed the fight and he won the fight quite comfortably, like 9-3, 10-2, it was still one of his harder fights in the sense that he had to be switched on and stay responsible at all times. Because if Neary would drop him, and what was the other guy's name? Picasso's the next one. And whoever the other guy thought, his name is just skipped my mind. I know Philip will put it in the chat for me. If they're gonna drop you, Akhmadaliev will clean take you out. So he had to respect the power. Here's Tony. I can see in the background. Oh yeah, it's working nicely. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll bring you in. He said, "Let's go." Okay, good stuff. Mr. Pugilist, how are you?
I'm well, sir. Good to be amongst you again.
Brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff. So yeah,
let me just get rid of the other device, which you might get a little echo if I get.
All right, cool.
All right. So how you been, Bass?
Yeah, things are things, man. Like all I can say is my health is here, innit? I'm healthy. I'm still fairly young, still fairly spry, so can't complain.
That's good, man. That's good.
What about yourself? When did you get back?
Yesterday.
Okay.
So yeah, it was quick in Thursday and flew out Sunday. Came back like early hours of Monday morning. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Philip, it was Cardenas. That's the guy. Thank you very much. I knew you'd help me out there. Yeah. Right. So talk to us about your experience there. Like, how did you find it, and what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and what were the fights like live?
Yeah. So I had decent seats. I was literally just on the edge of the floor area, front row. I did what you and I usually do when we're in the O2, which is you use the Ticketmaster app until the last minute and find the empty seat. And I was able to position myself really well. And of course, after the fight ended, I was able to just meander down into the ringside seats, and it was perfect. I thought the whole weekend went really well in terms of build up. I enjoyed the Netflix specials. I thought they were, well put together, well produced.
The countdown ones, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I thought they're pretty good. Got the juices bubbling nicely. Then the press conference that was very respectful. Both fighters were, no shenanigans, but you could just sense you just sense that Terence was, feeling himself. He just seemed super confident that, Skills was going to pay the bills, and I felt that was going to be the case as well. Obviously, when you see the weigh-in and you look at the differences in their frames, you're like, well, I've seen this many a time in history where a small guy, goes up and faces a much bigger guy and manages to win, which is profound, because that's exactly what Terence said in his pre-press conference. People who don't look at boxing, you must not have seen the several times in which a small guy has gone up and defeated the big guy who was meant to be the big bad giant. And this fight, to me, just the echoes to me were Sugar Ray Leonard against Marvin Hagler, which, I remember clearly. Hagler destroyed Mugabe in the fight prior, and I feared for Sugar Ray. I really did. Hagler, in the pre-press conference, was doing the war on his hat. Was like, yeah, he's gonna. I was like, oh man, Sugar Ray's in trouble. But as we saw, Ray Leonard came out with an absolute excellent strategy. And I felt that if anybody would have that capability, then it would be Bud Crawford. And he would be able to take advantage of the deficiencies that we have been seeing of late in Canelo's game. So I was quite confident. And as I mentioned in my Instagram story, I ran into Adrian Broner just the day before, drunk as a skunk in a we had a little tete-a-tete because, I trained Ashley Fiafane when he was an amateur. I mentioned it, and he just went off on one. He was out of his head. And then, got into the arena nice and early, as I said, about 2:30 in the afternoon. And pace-wise, I thought it was pretty good because, they did have, some breaks where they had footage ready to show on the big screens, and that screen in that stadium is huge. Literally, but my positioning was perfect. So if I wanted to, I could look in the ring and see the action really well. But if I really wanted to look much closer, I'd just put my head up and I'd see the big screen. Action-wise, I know you have your reservations in relation to the order. I didn't think it was terrible. I actually enjoyed the Walsh versus Vargas fight. And I know you think that should have been on the main card.
I didn't think the fight was bad. I just want to say, I didn't think the fight was bad. It was just he had the Poison Chalice position on the card. It should not have been there. They should not have been chief support.
Yeah. The Imbili versus Lester Martinez. Wow. What a war. Me and the guys, you get a little camaraderie of guys around you. And we were all like just saying, look at these two guys. Oh my gosh, they're banging 6 bells out of each other. But neither wants to take a sidestep and just go, you know what, let me try something different. And that for me was what let that fight down, because ultimately it just turned into a rock and sock and fight where nobody was willing to go, you know what, let me try something different in the fight. I remember introducing Christian and Billy to my brother-in-law who I was with. He'd never seen him, and I sort of said, well, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Mike Tyson, obviously the black short, the black shoes, constant pressure fighter. But the thing that he lacks is movement of feet. I mean, he literally just walks in and he's very stand up straight in front of his opponent. He has no lateral movement, in terms of moving to the side of a punch and creating an angle for punches. And ultimately, Lester Martinez took advantage of that. He stood up and faced everything that Mbili could throw and just said, look, whatever you throw, I'm going to throw more of it. And so it was an entertaining fight, but a frustrating one at the same time, because I did want to see a little bit more from Mbili. What other fights can I talk about? Hang on a sec. Just sort of cool.
She's asleep.
What else? Give me another fight to talk about.
Boachuk and Adams.
Oh yeah, this was. I remember watching Boachuk because they showed his pre-fight interview talking about the first fight, and I thought to myself, well, if he makes some small adjustments, he'll probably win, because technically he's a very good fighter. We've seen him, quite a lot of him, to be honest, in the past. And my feeling was, this could be the revenge. But, give Adams his credit. He stuck to his guns. He did what he did the way he wanted to do it, and he just, again, hard work outdid the talent in the end.
Okay. But were you kind of impressed at the way that he fought Boachuk's fight, whereas last time he got dominated by him? This time he literally just stayed in the pocket with him for like the majority and beat him on the outside, beat him on the inside. Just the whole different scenario.
Yeah, that seemed a much better strategy for me, for Adams. And so yeah, I was impressed by the fact that he stuck, and he didn't deviate. He didn't try to do anything flash. He just said, look, I'm gonna stay here and I'm just gonna keep working. And he counter-punched well. He was punching in between Boachuk's punches. I thought it was a good performance.
Okay, I hear it. What about what was that fight? What did you think of Franklin and
the snooze fest? I'll be honest with you. When I saw Franklin's condition coming into the ring, that was my opportunity to go and get a drink. So it's interesting because I remember that was the point when I went down to get a drink. So I ran into Travis. So yeah, I only watched that one on the screen inside the arena, but it was an awful fight. It just looked awful, and obviously Franklin came in looking in a state, in terms of weight, and I just kind of felt this is not gonna be pretty, and it wasn't at all.
One thing I'll say, and this doesn't even really excuse the weight or whatever, but I know that he lost his father last month, so during the middle of camp. So I give him like some grace for that, and obviously big condolences or whatnot. But I watched the fight, right? I didn't watch it like intently, so I couldn't tell you every single punch that was thrown, but it was on in the background. I was checking in here and there, but every time I saw it, it looked like, especially in the first 4 or 5 rounds, Dachko was in pretty big control. So then, seeing the scorecards at the end, I was very surprised, because when I heard all three of them, I said, "Oh, well, Dachko's got this kind of easy." Then all of a sudden I hear it goes to Jermaine Franklin. I'm like,
That
what?
was a shock to me as well because I felt exactly the same, even watching it on a big screen. You know, in the inside of the arena, it just at no point in time did I look like Franklin had any control in the fight. So I was shocked at the decision, but then at the same time, I kind of felt, you know what, that's one of them fights which I guess the result didn't really matter hugely to either.
Well, you say that. Do you think that he got the result because because Moses Atama has been talking non-stop about having that as his next fight? I'm not saying. I'm not saying.
Yeah, I mean, if
judges,
that's the
but do you
fight
think that
before,
was
then
maybe
you
the
didn't
thought
do
process?
yourself
Let's
any favors.
fatten him up for Moses.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't do himself any favors with that performance. If that's the, you know, sort of like the fight that they're gonna go, you know, there's your next opponent, then, you know, it could be easy work for Moses should they make that match up. I think they need to pivot now and go. They need a better opponent.
Well, the thing is, they're not trying to get him better
Someone
opponent.
tough. Yeah, I get it.
They're just trying to get him someone that they think can go rounds at this point in time.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't think that Frank actually wants to put him in there with like tough fights or tough opposition. I think he just wants people that he can still continue to learn his craft on. And then, you know, Frank used to be the king of trying to get someone on the downslide after you sort of, you know, you do your apprenticeship. So that's what I can see. If those titles become vacant, I don't even think Frank will let him go for one just yet until he's got those rounds in the bank.
Yeah.
And then just target like one of the weakest champs.
Yeah,
but hopefully he'll
interesting
tomorrow. So maybe I'll get a chance to speak. I haven't spoken to him in about a year and a half now. But all right, so one question before I let you go.
Mm-hmm.
Crawford and Canelo, right? Actually, no, two, because I'm gonna assume. Actually, I'll ask you the other one in a moment. But obviously, you believed that Crawford was gonna win the fight, like I did. You was fairly confident.
Yeah.
When you was watching it live, did your prediction at any point waver? Whether just before the fight started, maybe 1 or 2 rounds in, or was you always like, this is just gonna be clean?
It didn't waver. I mean, the one thing that I would say that made me think was the support, because, you know, Canelo's support is phenomenal, and sometimes that might play on a fighter when it's, you know, intimidation couldn't play a factor in a guy's performance. But I guess if there's one person who's accustomed to fighting, you know, in another guy's backyard, then Terence Crawford is one of them such fighters who has no qualms about doing that. And despite the noise that was generated by the Mexican fans, at no point during the fight did I think, you know what, he's being affected by either, you know, the size of the event or the amount of opposition supporters making noise, because he just seemed to just flow into the fight. You know, obviously he came out first couple of rounds and he started loading up data and you know, not being intimidated at all. Happy to stand in front of Canelo, you know, catch shots and counter. And so from the beginning, I just thought, yeah, he's got his number. I mean, you know, I was constantly looking for that that left hook stroke, left hook to the body that he does a lot of, where he pretends like he's throwing the left hook to the body and then he brings it up. But Terence, he just kept intact with his defense, never gave it Canelo anything easy. Of course, there were big shots that went straight through the guard that caught Terence and rocked his head. But even in those situations, there was no panic. It was like, yeah, good shot. And he acknowledged them at the time, you know, like, yeah, you got me, good shot. Now watch this. And then every time it happened, he'd just come back and give him a free piece. you know. And for that, you just think, yeah, that is the guy who I feel confident as this fight progresses will get better and better in the same way he did against Errol Spence, because he just has a habit of doing that, improving as fights go along. And obviously, a lot of what he said in press conferences prior to the fight came to fruition. I think it was Bomac said that he would store something in his brain in round 1 or 2, and in round 7 or 8 it will come back and catch Canelo. And that shot that's doing the rounds where Canelo gets caught with the catch counter. That again, I've seen that highlight from where he did it in the first rounds, and it worked. But by round 7-8, Terence had it, and he was able to, not only catch the shot but deliver his own retort with, amazing accuracy.
Okay. All right. Before I get to the last question, who was your favorite person to see there on the night? Whether you've seen them previously or like it was the first time you ever saw them? Because I know that you've obviously met and mingled with a lot of people, but who was like the one person you was like, oh gosh, this one just made it for me?
Yeah, I mean, there's two I want to talk about. The meeting Tommy Hearns was, a moment that you go, yeah, this is phenomenal. And I love that, I don't know if you've ever been in the company of like Michael Watson, but Tommy Hearns has that kind of aura about him, I said, right, champ, and he was like, yeah, and take a picture. And then he puts his hands up and he throws a punch at me. I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what I mean? And that's just so nice that, he's obviously not in the greatest of health, but, he still has the whereabouts to know that, yeah, people expect me to do the boxing stuff and appreciate what I've done for the game of boxing. But the other person who I thought that I met that I was really pleased to meet was Abdullah Mason. I mean, talk about a guy, I was able to have a word with him, and, it was really humble. I didn't ask him anything too cagey. I just, sort of just referred to his fights and the fact that, I've really been a great admirer for his workload. And, he was very gracious for me saying, that I was a big fan of his from the UK. So, yeah, I was pleased to meet him.
Okay. Now, Abdullah, I'm trying to get him. Actually, I was trying to. Is in communication with a member of his team like a few weeks back. His team and someone else from Top Rank. So I'm trying to get him on the channel soon. So hopefully I can make that one happen, and we can have an extended conversation. I'll bring you in if that happens.
That'd be great.
Right, last one. So obviously we did have our own card technically over here in the UK, Crocker Donovan. I'm not expecting you to have watched it with the same level of vigor and vim that you was looking to watch the other one with, because it would have been early morning over there in Vegas. But
Absolutely.
I'm assuming you probably watched the last two fights at least, or at least the highlights of them.
I have just watched the highlights, yeah.
The highlights, yeah. All right, tell me what you thought of that, and your overall thoughts of sort of that fight. And Black Thunder versus Black Panther as well, if you watch the highlights of that.
I haven't seen anything of that one.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to catch up with that one at some point in time. But Crocker Donovan, I mean, it's Celtic Wars, isn't it, really? But overall, I thought it was an all right. I thought the action looked all right. I can't actually say, much about the result. But yeah, it looked like it was an exciting fight.
Fair enough. Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess if you didn't watch the whole thing, you can't say who you thought should have won or not. All right, fair enough. Well, look, Tony, appreciate you for coming on. I will bring in the next time, but enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll speak soon.
Take care, yeah?
Peace. Right, so let me get to the comments that I missed while myself and Tony was speaking. What rounds did you give MJ? I struggled to give him any. To be honest, I wasn't scoring the fight. Um, when I watched it, I was just kind of watching it to watch it. So I wasn't scoring to see what rounds I gave him or not. So yeah, I can't. And yes, Philip obviously came with Cardenas. Thank you for that. Shout out to James. Said Tony out of retirement. Yeah, he got one last run in him. Shout out to Jam Down. I can't stand this guy forever flexing his wealth and extra page passport on us peasants. But salute same way, my General Domi. Uh, um, Star Fox laughing at that. Um, there he goes using his big words. Who or what is meander? Meander. Yeah. But I'm sure you know what it means to meander about. Possible hint at the next trip to Australia, meander, aka me down under. Tony doesn't understand the term subtle flex of today's youth. I'm surprised AB wasn't asking you for a little money. He looks borderline homeless whenever he's been in front of a camera in recent times. I shouldn't even laugh because that it's actually a sad thing to see. Tony probably slipped AB a 20 and said, "Keep it moving." They had bare pictures together. I saw at least 6 pictures of Tony and AB. So he must have been there for a little while. AB, I want to thank Al Heyman, God, and Tony Pugilist boy. It'd be mad if he said that after his next fight. Oh, I see it like any gal me see me under. Oh, you too. Oh, I'm definitely not reading the next one, Star Fox. Canelo's loss is Tony's game. Ah, no, you lot are just wrong. Saying, yeah, Managalis. All right. It was a shock to Franklin too. I heard he apologized after the win. Yeah, I don't know if he apologized for the win or apologized for not putting his best foot forward or not being in the greatest of shape. Um, but it's on. I think it was on his Instagram. He put up a post or something, so I'd have to check it. Untraceable, you two gonna spar. It's still supposed to be in the works at some point, but I know Tony has been on the injured reserve. So once he's back and healthy and back to UK time zone, I'm sure we can figure something out. Although I'll probably have to do it after I get my shoulder looked at. I've got a consult. Actually, no, it's not even a consultation. I've got an actual appointment with the MSK in October about it. So hopefully, if they say it's good to throw, then we're good to go. Untraceable Bud is crazy competitive. Yeah, he don't let people win in nothing. See his convo with Eddie. Yeah, I remember he's like, "You can't beat me in nothing." He's like, Eddie goes, "What?" He goes, "Nothing." He goes, "Nothing." I goes, "What about darts?" "I'll whoop your ass at darts too." And then he proceeded to whoop Eddie's ass at darts. Eddie didn't. He wasn't ready for that one, realizing that man's got his own specialized darts and all sorts. I thought that was funny on the Matchroom YouTube channel. I might go watch that again. He offered to take him. He offered him to take his money back from him. No jab from Canelo. Yeah, the only time Canelo will throw a jab is if he can get his foot on the outside. If he can get his lead foot on the outside of his opponent, and he just wasn't able to do that against Crawford. So I don't think he was. I don't think he wanted to risk it. What's this? Tony going forward. Would you think that the Mexicans would ride with Bud or make him wealthy, hoping for his demise like they did with Mayweather? It's an interesting question. Sorry, I didn't see that at the time. Jam down. Otherwise I would have asked him. But Tony, if you're still in the chat, please answer that for Jam down. Mayweather really gave them needle. Yep. And plus 2 or 3 more. I mean, who knows if Bud's still saying he doesn't know what his next move's going to be, whether he's going to stay and go down to 160 or whether he's going to call it a day. I'd like to see him go down to 160. Like I said, that Erislandy Lara fight is it's a high skill level fight. Lara ain't no punk, but he's 42 years old, and he's the smallest of the 160 pounders. So at least he's similar to your, to your height and reach, and that would be a good fight to integrate yourself to see if you want to try to go for another undisputed run or whether you just want to call it a day. Didn't Tony know Michael Watson from before? Yeah, that's what he was saying. I don't know. He said he don't know if he ever interacted with Michael Watson, but that was the kind of that was the sort of the kind of aura that he had. That's what he was referring to. Do you think Abdullah Mason is the second coming to Crawford? No, Abdullah Mason is the first coming to Abdullah. But as good as Abdullah is, obviously he's only 20. What is he? 20 years old now, possibly. Yeah, 2021. So he's far from the finished article, but he's already been in problematic situations. So if he can tighten all of that up, then he can definitely be sort of like maybe the next big thing in those weight divisions. I don't know if he's got that star potential, or whether the powers that be will allow him to become a star like that. But yeah, he's gonna be the next himself. Let's not put our other label on him for now. But yeah, I think that's all the comments. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna leave it there. Appreciate you guys for jumping on. My main thing was really about the scorecards, but just asked because I saw Zytel on X make that claim. Okay, well, interesting. Like I said, Abdullah Mason, he's top quality, but let's let him have his times to develop him. But he's going to be, I guess, world champion supposedly if he beats Noakes. So we'll see. But yeah, look, I will leave it there for now, peeps. Appreciate your time, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also hit the hype button. After the stream has ended, I don't know if it's going to do anything for my metrics, but it will be appreciated if you guys do that. I'm going to try and go live again a bit later on in the week. I'm going to have content tomorrow and Thursday anyway from the press conference. I'll find someone to interview, and I'll hope that it's a good enough quality for you guys. And yeah, and then I'm not sure what we've got on the weekend, but I'm sure we'll get some more picks. And I definitely know I'm watching the WrestlePalooza on Saturday. So who knows? Maybe an impromptu watch along for that might happen. But until then, there's a couple more comments. Let me just make sure that Yasmin saying big up. So shout out to you. Star Fox is saying peace. Jam down, peace. Tony bless. All right, yep. All right, cool. We out. Catch you on the next one. Peace. Maybe I'ma make it, maybe I'm not. In time we'll see.